Joining me now for more on this from Berlin is Andreas Umland. He's a research fellow at the Swedish Institute for International Affairs. Now, you know, Andreas, I was listening to the statements being made by world leaders today regarding Crimea. And correct me if I'm wrong, it seems that the world today is more united than ever before when it comes to standing up against the illegal annexation of Crimea by Russia.
We had already the voting in the UN General Assembly in March 2014, where I think about 100 countries condemned the annexation. And since February this year, the support for Ukraine has, in my perception at least, risen, because this is now a continuation of this annexation that is much bloodier, and that is actually now a large war in Europe, and therefore the support for Ukraine has also, in my perception, also for the recognition of Crimea as a Ukrainian territory risen.
Andreas, you listened to what our correspondent Dasha Chernyshova was saying about the killing of Alexander Dugin's daughter. Now, I understand Moscow has put the blame squarely on Kiev. Now, assuming we're speculating right now, if Kiev is behind it, what's in there for Kiev?
I don't think actually that Kiev is behind it. Not only Daria Dugina, but also Alexander Dugin is not important enough for this. In fact, Alexander Dugin has been an embarrassment for Russia over the last 30 years, because he praised fascism in the 1990s, the SS, and he has been one of the most outspoken fascist ideologists of Russia. So, but even if one assumes that the Ukrainian special service was behind it, the target, obviously, of this assassination was not Daria Dugina, but the father, Alexander Dugin, who has called in 2014 to, quote, kill Ukrainians. That was his call to escalate the war. And now the Russian leadership has actually taken over this call for killing Ukrainians. Now representatives of the Russian government are using sort of similar escalatory rhetoric.
Okay, now, if you think that Kiev is not behind it, then tell me, why do you think Russia is blaming Kiev? Is it possible that his killing, the killing of Alexander Dugin's daughter, could be used as a pretext by Russia to escalate the war?
Yes, it can be used, although, I mean, we had so much escalations already that, you know, would be just a pretext, as you said. You know, thousands of people have been killed, and now this person has been also killed. So yes, it can be used. Although, as I said, I think Dugin is for the Russian leadership actually a problematic figure because of his outspoken fascism in the 1990s, his connections to the far right in Western Europe, also in other countries. So it's actually a slippery slope for the Russian leadership to embrace Dugin now in view of this assassination.
Then, Andreas, before I let you go, let me ask you this question, which I believe is on a lot of people's mind at this point. What's the end game here? What's Russia's end game? Because remember, when the war began, we were hearing reports of Russian attacks taking as far west as Lviv. But right now, it seems Russia's attacks are focused only on the eastern side of the country. So what does Russia want? Does it want to occupy the Donbass region, the whole eastern part of Ukraine, or do you think Russia's ambitions go beyond that?
I think it's not so much about territory and more about the Ukrainian state, the Ukrainian nation, the independence of Ukraine, and also the role model that Ukraine has become in terms of Europeanization, democratization, and reforms. And that was something that became dangerous for the Russian leadership. It's more about the Ukrainian path than about any particular territory. I think Russia would be is actually quite flexible on what the future of Ukraine is. If there's a regime change, for instance, in Ukraine, I think that's not possible. Then this would fully satisfy the Russian leadership. But now we see actually a war that tries to destroy the Ukrainian economy, the Ukrainian nation. So it's now a war of annihilation, extermination.
Andreas Umland, thanks very much for talking to us here on TRT World. Really appreciate your taking out the time, sir.